My friends, what would I tell myself if I was 25 again? So I'm 36. It's July 2025 as we speak. So as of now, I got 12 of those years in recovery from substance use disorder. Also got an 18-year-old son and a 13-year-old daughter. I've made drastic career changes, relationship changes. I'm an entrepreneur. I've written a book. Not only do I create, I demonstrate, but not only do I demonstrate, I create. And there's a lot that's gone into becoming this person. And I remember the energy that I had when I was 24. Really thinking about it, July 2013, I had just turned 24. At that point, I was super confused. I didn't know what was going on with me. I felt like I didn't get any guidance. I felt like I wasn't led to anything. I was just floating. And I think I did the best I could with the resources I had, but I had floated into oblivion at that point. And so for me, it was important to seek help, and I did seek help, and I ended up going to rehab, stayed for about 30 days and came home and really began life anew. And then I hit the ground running, fresh-faced. And now having the luxury of perspective, I can see the ways that I had struggled to figure out who it is that I was growing into, what it was that I was blossoming into. And I probably had less compassion for self than I should have had, but you know, you can't do the shoulda, woulda, couldas. I was exactly who I needed to be for me to turn into who it is that I've turned into now. And to be honest, this video will probably be a two-parter because I would tell myself so many things. Also, side note, I probably wouldn't have listened. But let's start with number one. Be softer on yourself, sir. I've learned how important it is to allow for my process, which means that the thing that goes crazy in our head and tells us that we should have been somewhere already or we should be somebody already might feel like it's productive because it's keeping us from like being a lazy bum and sitting on our ass. But in all actuality, if you can look in the mirror and you got gray hairs, it's probably why you got a few of those gray hairs. The world is already gonna kick your ass. It's set up to beat you up, point blank, simple. It's gonna beat you up so that it can turn you into what it is that you've asked to be. So I would suggest that you don't beat yourself up on top of life beating you up. Or take this, I'm not even talking to you, I'm talking to me at 25. So if it don't apply, let it fly. But stop beating your own ass. Like that's not gonna get you closer to the solution. That's not gonna get you closer to understanding yourself more. That's not gonna allow for you to blossom and open up the ways that you're supposed to. And it really is a misconception that if I don't beat myself up, then I won't get to where it is that I need to go, because I've gotten where it is that I need to go with beating myself up, and I've also gotten where it is that I need to go without beating myself up. And I have to ask myself the question after having that experience and trial and error, which one do I prefer? A mentor of mine, Dr. Maria Nemeth, she always used to ask this question, how would it feel for you if life got easier? Would you be okay if life got easier? And I used to be like, don't ask me that. Why you ask me that? Of course I would be okay if life got easier. But what she was pointing out was that the way that I approached life was like I didn't. I didn't think that I'd be okay. And I didn't move in a way that somebody who would be happy or okay or actually wants life to be easier, I wasn't acting like that person. Because I was making life way more complicated than it needed to be. So soften up on yourself. Think about it like this. If you had a favorite flower, would you try to grab it by its head and then rip it open so that it turns into what it is that you want it to be? Or would you allow it to have its own natural growth process and unfold and blossom? Would you take a hammer to that rose? I put rose in your mouth like that's what your favorite flower is, but you get the picture. Would you intentionally try to pry something open that you know has a natural process? And 9 times out of 10, your answer to that question is no. And so why would you do that to yourself? So compassion, every step of the way, if you can, just be a little bit lighter on yourself. Just be a little bit softer on yourself. Find the ways within your experience thus far that you need to heal. Did people hold you to impossible standards? Were you raised and told that you had to be a specific way? Did your parents not give themselves grace? Did they beat themselves up? Was there language within their life that reflected the fact that they could not be soft to themselves? I can't win for losing. Here we go again. I ain't never got no good luck. Is that like something that you grew up around? I'm telling you, like when we build ourselves into something new, it sets up the opportunity for us to heal. You'll find out really quick how much healing it's gonna take to become who it is that you've declared that you wanna become. All right, so number two, second thing I'd tell myself if I was talking to my 25-year-old self right now, that would be to take advantage of the resources at your fingertips. You don't need anything other than what it is that you have to go where it is that you want to go. Learning to utilize what you have is going to unlock the next step, whatever that is. I used to have this mentality. I used to call myself a technology whore because I would prioritize getting the newest thing, or I would take a step towards doing what I wanted to do, building what I wanted to build, creating what I wanted to create. And the first thing I would do to take that step would identify the thing that I can't afford, and then I just would put it down. And when I learned to be a resourceful person, and resources, yes, they're attached to literally what you have access to. And there's some things that can play a role into it being a longer road for you if you don't have access to certain resources. But you got to think about it. I've been around some of the richest people on the globe, and there's a level of resourcefulness that those people embody. And yeah, maybe because they jumped off of a platform of being surrounded by people who know how to utilize what it is that they have. And yes, maybe they have a shit ton of things to be resourceful with, but there still is a spirit of resourcefulness in the ways that they show up in the world. They don't have a I can't do that attitude. They have a how can we do that attitude. And I just had a recent experience where I coached people to public speak, or to learn how to articulate better, and to convey a message from stage and do it in alignment with their brand and all that, et cetera, et cetera. And a friend of mine, she wanted to sit down for about an hour, and for one-on-one coaching for me, because time is a very valuable resource, my sit downs they start at, $1,000. But this person is a photographer. She has her own media company, and she offered to trade services. And I need some headshots. I need some new photos for my portfolio and for my business. And we just traded off. So I sat down with her for an hour, and then I have a session set next month to, for outfit changes. And that's learning to be resourceful, learning to take advantage of my community, the people that's sitting right next to me, networking to the side, etc. And that's just one example. A lot of times we want something, and then we'll use the excuse of not having what it is that we think that we need to not even pursue that something that we say we want. But in all actuality, once you get whatever it is you're going for, there's gonna be something else. And the person who makes things come to fruition is the resourceful person. So, okay, maybe you can't do it the way that you think you wanna do it right now. And this is another thing, I'm kind of on a soapbox, but think about when you do access resources. If you're the person who's not resourceful and just will blow your resources to get the biggest, best thing, not knowing that, and I've seen this happen with so many different organizations where there's this big budget, and they end up grabbing the biggest budget contractor, and it's we could do so much with just a couple $100 going over there. We could do what you're trying to do, but because you have this budget, you have this, hey, the most expensive thing is the best thing. And oftentimes the most expensive thing may be the best thing, but only for the person who knows how to utilize that resource. So be that person, be the resourceful person, learn how to use what it is that you have in a way that empowers you to get to the next thing. And then when you get that next thing, you'll know exactly what to do with it. Okay, so what we got? We got being softer on ourselves, and we got being resourceful. Number 3, and the final one for this video, I'm definitely gonna have to do a part 2. Take your time. Take your time. Now, I know that could be counterintuitive, especially in the Western world, especially when it comes to producing things, especially to me. As a person, I'm gonna be 100% honest, I don't often take my time. I don't as much as I would like to really sit still and sit. And I went down to yoga in the park last week. It was downtown Detroit, and there's an organization there called Trap Yoga, and they do Yin's days, where I guess it's yin, yang on Wednesday, yoga in the park, whatever. And I'm surrounded by gotta be 80 black and brown, old and young, and we doing yoga. You can't be pissed off when you do yoga too. So it was just a very chill time. And I'm working to get into these poses. I don't do a lot of yoga, and I'm in my head. And as I look to the sky, the instructor, he said something take note of this moment. See if you could be here, because this will be that moment that in the wintertime, you'll be nostalgic for. Like, hey, remember we was doing that yoga and we was down in Detroit and it was just feeling wonderful. Remember that time? Oh my God, like get this snow out of here. I can't wait to go back then. And I'm in it right now. And so that practice of realizing how important right now is and building that into my process and my movement, I think that's really important. Now everything from fatherhood to career, I've appreciated every step of the way, but there has definitely been some times in my journey that I really wanted to get out of that season, especially when I got home from rehab and I used my employee assistance program to go to rehab, and I came home, and then for the first time I was faced with like, what do I want to do with my life? And it wasn't what I was doing, but I didn't know anything else. So I stayed in that job for a good, maybe like 3 or 4 more years before the opportunity presented itself for me not to be there anymore. And that comes with the responsibility. I'm gonna have to be in the midst of something that I don't necessarily appreciate, and I can't often, like, it's not always gonna be, oh, rip the Band-Aid and dip. I got a family to feed, and this is how I know how to feed my family right now. But as I cultivate the skills that allow for me to show up differently, how can I do things that bring me present? And so what I was doing, I was working in a warehouse with a plant. I'm not gonna say the name, but I started bringing different stuff for lunch. I started going to different bathrooms. This is, warehouse plant life where people come and, they go to the same bathroom for the 30 years that they worked there before they retire. And I'm like, I'm about to go see what's going on in chassis. I'm about to go see what's going on in trim. I'm trying to see what the bathroom go. Whoa, I get in there, they got these crazy sinks and all type of stuff like that. So and it was an adventure. And so learning to take things and purposely bring myself in this moment. I've got a practice I've been doing recently where if I feel like I'm not here, I will literally grab something and touch something. The textile nature of what it is that I'm touching on will bring me here, present. And so just find the practice that allows for you to be here now, be here in this moment. And you don't even trying to be here is not gonna have us be here. I've learned that too, where it's I have to be here. Oh, you get here. We're supposed to be here right now. There's a level of non-presence in that over-engineering of presence. And I don't want to get too complicated, but even if it's just for a second, just a breath. Matter of fact, right now, you listening to this or watching this, take a breath with it. You here. You here right now. Wherever here is, you're here. I'm not gonna freak you out. We're not gonna do a whole meditation right now, but find the practices that allow for you to be present in your parent, if you got parents, with your parents, if you got kids, with your kids, if you got friends, with your friends, and ultimately with you and your surroundings. Because at the end of the day, when we in a rush, where we on a rush to? But the end goal is to get up out of here, because the energy and the spirit of rush, wherever we get to, there's always somewhere else to go. And the end somewhere else to get to is, it being over with. Who knows what comes after that? But that's where we're rushing to if we're just continuously rushing. So I know my creatives, I know my business owners, we can tend to really be in that spirit of having to get to the next thing because, that's what's helped us build the things we believe in. But number 3 thing I would tell myself at 24, 25 is to be there. Be 25. Be 25. And know that everything that's happening, everything you experience, everybody you're surrounded by is exactly what's supposed to be happening. So how can you be there? Because you'll get here at 36, you'll get here. And when you get here, if you get here with the spirit of somebody who sits in where they're at, you're gonna enjoy it here. But if you rush to get here, when you get here, you're gonna be like, I'm trying to get there. So that's 3 things I would tell my 25-year-old self. As always, continue down a path of growth. Have grace for yourself in the midst of building out your growth. And remember to have gratitude for what it is that you're surrounded by and are experiencing right now. Make sure to sub to the channel. If you're listening to this on podcast platforms, make sure you subscribe to the pod. And come and join us in the MoodProof Mastery Community where people like you who are interested in growth and taking care of ourselves in the midst of growing are coming together, and we're kicking it, and we're meditating, and we're exchanging ideas, and we're learning about each other, and we're supporting each other in our growth. As always, my friends, until next time, keep growing.